right? Okay, so top 5 questions from within the Facebook group answered. This one's not necessarily the top 5, but we do get this a lot. So infinite banking, or people being pitched about like financial advisors and Amazon automation. So if people in the Facebook group are pitching you off to the side or saying, hey, DM me, and then you get into there and it's some crazy opportunity about, Amazon automation or infinite banking or becoming a financial advisor or selling travel opportunities or a travel advisor or Sensi or some other multi-level marketing thing, or like some opportunity to become wealthy, building your own business on your own time, building your own network, whatever, that they have to talk to you about privately in Facebook, and they're not willing to tell you exactly what they do, like in detail, in the Facebook group. If they're not willing to give you the keys to the kingdom in the Facebook group, and they have to insist on messaging you off to the side, that's a major red flag. Because they're probably trying to sell you some BS that they know if they post publicly, everybody will tell you is BS. As far as the infinite banking, check out the podcast episode with Will Duffy. You can go to militarytomillionaire.com/Will-Duffy, or you can just go to the website and search Will Duffy, Duffy, or Brandon Jenkins. And those are both great episodes that talk about this in length. But long story short, if you can't overfund it with 6 figures, then you're probably not in a position where it really makes sense. Infinite banking and whole life insurance is a great strategy for capital preservation. It's not a wealth building strategy. So it's touted that way because the people who sell it make more money off commissions through those whole life policies than they do anything else. And they talk about how you can earn interest on your money while it's out and earn it while it's out investing, and it's also earning interest over here, and you're double tapping and all this other stuff. But most of those accounts are not non-direct recognition. They're direct recognition, which means that they actually don't earn interest on the insurance side while the money's out, and those reps don't even know. And so a lot of the stuff that you're being sold is like, if your policy was structured this way, you could do this. And if it was structured this way, you could do this. And so they tell you like all the different things that you could do if it was structured one way, but then like it can't be structured all of those ways at the same time. And so it's like it could be this or this or this or this, but it can't be all 4, but you're being told it could be all 4, and you just kind of like, it's a big web. So it's hard to tell, and it sounds way too good to be true, because it is most of the time. And just be really careful. Don't liquidate your TSP for it. Don't buy into the fact that 401ks are worse than insurance. Anything in the stock market, index funds, 401k, TSP, tax advantage, whatever, in securities, like in the stock market, long-term will absolutely outpace your insurance account all day, every day. Anyone who says otherwise is selling you insurance, guaranteed. Because anyone who can put $100,000 in both freaking accounts and zoom out 50 years, doesn't matter what day you put it in the stock market, even if you put it in the day before the '08 crash, guarantee the stock market will win. Sorry, it is what it is. All right. Number 4, thrift savings plan. Go check out the YouTube channel or the blog, and you can type in TSP, thrift savings plan. Tons of content, tons of articles there that will talk about the thrift savings plan in general. Long story short, I recommend that people read the book Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. We actually have a podcast episode from him as well. So same thing, you can go to the website and search J.L. Collins, or from militarytomillionaire.com/JL-Collins. And I'll put all this in the show notes. And that book will tell you a lot about different index fund strategies, which is very similar to the TSP, and it'll also tell you about TSP fund recommendations. There's also an article from Rich Carey, a good friend of mine and also former podcast guest, that talks about TSP fund allocations, and I'll link to that in the show notes as well. And so those are all good for you to do your own research on what fund you want your money to be in. If you don't want to take the time to do all that homework and all that research and kind of keep up to date on what funds you want your money in as you get older, because you should change it from more risky to less risky as you age, then just stick it in the life cycle fund that best correlates with the age that you plan on starting withdrawing, which luckily now all of those funds start in the life cycle like that, and just leave it there. And I know that you can do better than the life cycle fund if you do it on your own, but if you're not going to take the time to research those funds and understand them enough to change your allocation over time, it's probably not best for you to be playing with that. Number 3, personal finance in general. There's so much here, and I could dig so much into this, but I mean, the bottom line is don't take on debts you don't need. Don't spend money you don't need right off the bat. When you first join the military, you achieve entry-level financial freedom. Make sure you keep your credit good. Don't take on debts you don't need. Save a couple $100 a month, stick it somewhere. Even if you don't know where to invest it, just stick it somewhere until you find out. Do some learning. If you haven't grabbed my book yet, you can go to Amazon, you can go to the website. I'll link to all that as well, but you can also get the free PDF. And do that learning. Save a little bit of money. Don't go into crazy amounts of debt. When you're ready, use the VA loan and house hack. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I have a free course that's like an hour and a half long. It's actually you can watch the video in one swoop and it's 45 minutes, or you can watch the individual courses. They're a little bit longer. On each PowerPoint slide is like an hour and a half. And it's actually built out to where you can print or you can take the PowerPoint presentation then and go give it to your unit if you would like to. And so I'll link to this down below as well, but that if you just go to the resource page on the website, you'll see the free personal finance course there, but it'll be in the show notes as well. So I encourage you to go download the free course. It's a personal finance course that I made for service members and vets, and it's way better than what I could give you in 2 minutes on the podcast. The VA loan. That is obviously a very popular topic. In fact, this probably should have been number 1, but I put it as number 2 just because recently number 1 has been a little bit more popular. But VA loan, we get tons of questions. There are so many misconceptions still. Some of the most popular or most common, there's no limit to your first time use. You can buy $1 million home with the VA loan. You can use the income, 75% of the gross rents received from the tenants in your property, even if you don't have property management experience. And you might have to hire a property manager for that, but you can. There's no minimum credit score requirement for the VA. Most banks have their own, but the VA doesn't. So if a bank is telling you 620, ask around, because other banks will do 600 or 580. Debt to income, you can go, there's not a minimum requirement for the VA. So I've seen over 70% debt to income ratio approved for a VA loan. Again, every bank might have their own overlays, so you'll have to ask around, but the VA doesn't have their own requirement. The inspections for the VA aren't as bad as you think. The FHA is worse. The appraisal process is not as bad for the VA. In fact, I think it's better. And the process for rebuttaling a VA appraisal is better than the process of rebuttaling an FHA or a conventional. Because with a VA or with a conventional or an FHA, if there's an issue with the appraisal, if you go back to the appraiser, you go directly to the appraiser, and then their ego gets involved, and they're like, oh, you're telling me I'm wrong, and blah, 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 and they're going to dig their heels in. With the VA, you go directly to the VA, the appraiser doesn't even know you went over them, the VA doesn't care. There's no ego involved, so you actually have a chance. And they can actually rush it if you're like, dude, the veteran's going to move in 2 weeks, they're going to be homeless, oh my God, they can actually, so the VA can pull some strings, it can work in your favor, right? So, long story short on this is, if the service member or if you're being told by your agent or your lender that the VA loan is not competitive in your market, then that agent or lender is really just not the right agent or lender for you. And I would be happy to recommend somebody that I think would be better. We've got people in almost every market. So you can go to the website and click recommended agents and lenders, or just hit me up or hit up my team. We've got them everywhere. And I tell you, in every market throughout the craziest times over the last few years, we've been helping service members and vets crush VA loans. We've even seen 14-day closings in Orange County and San Diego in 2020, 2021. I've got a lender that can guarantee a 17-day close even now in San Diego and Orange County, right? So it's crazy what some of these people can do. And people are like, oh, the VA loan is not competitive. Dude, are you kidding me? 17-day close and they guarantee per diem if they're delayed, to the seller? That's nuts. I don't know a conventional lender that'll do that. Not really. So the VA loan is super competitive. It's the best primary residence mortgage on the market. If your lender and agent aren't saying that, they don't understand it. And that's okay. That's not on them. They aren't taught that when they get licensed. You have to go out of your way to become an expert in that. The best way to do that is to learn the VA guidelines. And so if you're being told no on something, it's usually a bank overlay. And so just go double check the VA guidelines. But if you got questions, feel free to keep asking them in the group, or reach out to me, or just click that recommended agents and lenders button on the website, and we will get you introduced to someone who knows what they're doing and can help you out. And number one, side hustles. There's so many options here. And the best thing I can tell you is I've got a blog post with, 45, 50 options for side hustles that I love that you should go check out. We've also got a website or a Facebook group called Military to Agent. So if you're looking to become a real estate agent, which is a great side hustle and full-time gig, we're helping people in the community do that for free. We've got some training and stuff, and then we're helping them, like teaching for free. The licensing and stuff is not free, but we don't run that. But feel free to go join that Military to Agent Facebook group, and then or ask about it. We'll point you in the right direction. But there's a ton of side hustle options. And so if you want, you can go to the website and just type in how to earn extra money or side hustles, and you'll pop that article up. We'll link it to the show notes as well. I could just name a ton off, but ultimately, it depends on what you enjoy, right? You could start a business, you could buy a business, you could be investing, you could be driving for Uber Eats or, Instaspark or whatever it's called, doing groceries. You could be taking pictures for real estate agents. You could be doing freelance stuff. You could be blogging. You could be YouTubing. You could be wholesaling. You could, mobile notary is a good one. There are a ton of options here. Start a cleaning business. Be a cleaner for like Airbnbs. Be a property manager for Airbnbs. Being Airbnb arbitrage. There's just so many options. So just don't limit yourself.